All right, good morning. We don't need the GT&H overlay on our screen, so let's get rid of that. That one. And then you're supposed to be able to see things, and you don't see things, so let me fix that. Screen capture properties. Okay, one moment. Should be this screen. There we go. Okay. Maybe that will be all the technical difficulty. Wait, where's the keyboard cam? Not all the difficulties. Keyboard cam. I see that. Get a reset, of course. There we go. We have the keyboard. All right. And let me adjust my chair a little bit. Get ready to go. All right. So, a very different. I mean, I guess I did some of these coding streams, morning streams during the week last December as well, and it is now December. But the new schedule is I'm going to be doing these morning coding streams not only on Sunday, but on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday as well. So this stream and the Sunday stream will be focused on game dev stuff. The Wednesday and Thursday streams, I thought we could go back to glowing Telegram, so kind of more web dev sort of things. And so that's the plan. So today, more game dev, which is good. And we're going to kind of continue a little bit past where we left off on Sunday. So on Sunday, we were working on this pull request that's now closed because I merged it, which is to add visual range indicators for shooting obstacles during placement and hover. No. That's the add-on that I did. Visual range indicators for obstacles, right? So being able to see what is the range of the tower, like the turrets or what have you that we're putting down. And so what that ends up looking like, if we fire up the test scenario and I want to put a turret, I ended up with this kind of dithered effect for the range indicator. And I went with yellow instead of red. I felt red was kind of taken up anyway with things. We need free scrap. Oh, where's that sound coming from? It's coming from the speaker. We'll have desktop audio so you can see hear it too. Right. So how does that sound on stream? Yeah, we got our zombie squishing sound. All right. Anyway, turn that off. Yeah. So that's the idea: is that we have this, and then what you can do is you can hover over each individual one and see what its range is. And so that's the idea. I'm not really sold on the dithered transparency effect. I was iterating on a few different ideas to make it so that you wouldn't get an effect where the transparent shell showing you what the range is, when it overlaps with other transparent shells, you would get kind of a dark overlap, and I didn't want that. And so in the process of kind of iterating through how to solve that, I ended up on this. And so yeah, we have both so initially, what we were working on stream was just if you place one, you get the overlay on one. So we went back, did some AI development. Oh, interesting, on the preview how the dithering shows up. To make it so that it will show the previews for the other place turrets, so you can see what is your total coverage, right? Which seems like a good idea. Like if you want to achieve coverage here, you can do that like that, and then you can hover over one to see. And I think at some point we'll have like Maybe we'll hide the numbers until you hover over, or do things like that. Maybe show damage, like how much damage it does. I think another thing we could potentially do is make it so that you see through the shell, like it doesn't cover the turret or the health bar, or potentially make it so that the perimeter is shaded and then the center, like most of it, is transparent. Something like that. I don't know. There are things we can do. But today, we're going to get back to the thing that I was trying to do in the first place, which was that what we want to do is we want to add support towers as a thing in the game. And so the idea with support towers is that they are a thing, an obstacle, an object you put into the world that has some kind of ranged effect on other things, right? So these are like AoE AoE buffs that you can put down. Instead of doing some, like putting down more turrets or other defenses, like we have the electric fence, you can put down things that will increase attack range or decrease cooldowns, those sorts of things, right? So yeah, so doing this, how are we going to do this? I think, what do I think? What do we need to do this is the question. So I think what we can start off with is maybe we can put together a placeholder model. We'll build something that looks like a tower of some kind. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. We'll make something that's tower-like. And we'll just use one model for all of them for now, I think. And we can go back and, adjust. What are the differences between these, right? So they have a different effect. And so we'll have to think about how we want to do that, represent the idea of these different obstacles having an effect without, hopefully, we'll look at how the resource type is set up for obstacles to see what we can do there. So it's 3 kinds of support towers. And there's 2 aspects to it. One is a number, and the second is the type of thing that the number affects. And we will have a range that will be similar to, I guess we may use the same, yeah, let's look at stuff. Okay, we can connect to Godot now. Okay, so obstacles. We have this base obstacle, which extends a static body 3D. So there's this. This is kind of the implementation of what an obstacle is. And what we've done for the purposes of having our range indicator is we've implemented that on top of our shooting obstacle. So the shooting obstacle has an attack range, and has the logic for showing the attack range indicator. But the shooting obstacle also has logic about detection range. It has a detection timer. It has detect and attack enemies, this function here. And so all of these things are about doing attacks to enemies, but we don't need that. So it feels like we need something in between the base obstacle and the shooting obstacle. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, let's make a plan. That's a good thing to do here. So Plan for implementing. Very generic title there. Let's call them. We'll just call them buff towers. Yeah. Okay. So we want to create a new obstacle template called ranged obstacle. Move, attack, range, logic from shooting obstacle to that, rename it, rename to maybe effect range or just range, maybe just range, right? Yeah, modify shooting obstacle to inherit from ranged obstacle will be a thing. Yep, this is true. That's not really a thing we need to do. It's just the thing that we need to make sure we don't break. So are we going to create a... We probably... Think about this. Look at the base obstacle again. How does this work? Okay, so my question right now is how does this interact with the resource type that I believe that we have? So that would be in config, obstacles, obstacle type resource. Okay, so here is our kind of our data structure for how we're representing all the different kinds of obstacles that we have in the game. Those are walls and turrets and all those sorts of things, including the new buff towers. How do you go from having an instance of this resource type to having an obstacle? Well, I think we saw part of that last time because we have the idea that we have a scene that's attached to the resource. And so creating the obstacle is just instantiating the scene. I think that we might want to consider... So in other words, right now, all the data that's in the resource here is things about the obstacle, but it's not stuff that needs to be passed to the obstacle to tell it anything about itself. Like everything is inside of the scene. So this was a similar situation to how we were, what we were at with the enemies, where we had resources for the enemies, but any kind of details about configuring the enemies was reliant on having separate scenes. And I think we could do more here, but maybe for the sake of not taking on too much at once, maybe we won't do the same thing here, because like we could add a method to the resource to instantiate, right? And that would like instantiate the packed scene and as a node, and then potentially pass stuff from the resource into it. For now, I think maybe we don't do that. And instead what we'll do is we will go to here to entities, obstacles. So we do have the idea of concrete, so we have separate scenes, right? Why does basic turret have its own script? Oh, right, because we have kind of like animation stuff going on. Okay, that's right, that's right. So, going back to our list of things to do. So, modify shooting obstacle to inherit from ranged obstacle. There we go. Then we want to... Yeah, we can create a buff. Create a new... I guess buff obstacle that inherits from range obstacle, and put it in the templates. Create a new scene for each tower type. And the idea would be, so buff obstacle likely will have, let me just make a note. This will have logic for applying buffs to nearby. Allies is not the right word. I mean, potentially it could be, we could have towers that apply buffs to the survivors to give them more health. That might be a thing. Things, we'll just say. Within its range, sure. Create a new scene for each tower type that inherits from buff obstacle. The idea being that the logic for... So, like I said, range, type of effect, and how much is the effect, right, are the parameters. And so we'll have those as exports on the buff obstacle. And then the individual scenes will inherit from that and then provide those values. Yeah, that makes sense to me in this moment. So create placeholder art for buff towers. Now we could do that in Blender. I recently became aware of the CSG stuff. I think it's CSG, some combination of letters like that, and Godot that we could potentially use for like mocking up art, like mocking up game assets. So we could do that. Let's give that a try. Or do I just want to do it in Blender? If I do it in Blender, then we won't have to swap something else out later. I think I'll do it in Blender. Create one placeholder art. This reminds me of Futurama, the Fistful of Dollars episode. I'll have one art, please. Anyway, okay, create a scene for each tower type, and then this line is doing a lot of heavy lifting of like make it do things, but yeah, that'll be the idea. Okay, so let's do the part that's different first, which is we're gonna go into Blender and make some things. And I'm still on Blender 4.4.3. I know Blender 5 is out and probably switch to that at some point. I'm just not in a rush. How do we make a tower? I think this will be squarish. We're not going to worry about any kind of fancy animation or anything like that. It's just going to be a very simple sort of situation here. Toggle X-rays is what I want, to be able to select things behind things. There we go. B, there we go. So we can do this, we can move things up. So we have a cube. How do we want to do this? So if I was a little bit more serious about what we're doing here, I might like look for some reference art and kind of like, you know, something to go off of. But so how do we extrude? Is it Control E does that? E just extrudes. What do I want to do here? We're gonna shrink along. Whoops. No, redo. What did I do? I changed the shading. Oh, cool. I need to remember that that's a key combination. I want to scale along the not Z axis. Okay, maybe not quite that small. And then extrude again up. And then extrude again, but scale out. And then extrude up. Let's see. Is there a key combination to toggle X-ray? Alt-Z. Aha. Good to know. Good to know. Okay, so it's not good. But we'll take this and we'll use this as a placeholder. We can give it some, you know, materials, I guess, if we want. We will give this a so yeah, just like minimal effort here. Something to have something, right? Rather than just a box, we can have a couple of boxes. Anyway, all right, we'll let that import. And I don't know that we're ready, so we've done this. I do like my lists. Can you tell? All right, so create one placeholder art, create new obstacle template called ranged obstacle, move attack. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do that next. So we're going to go over here to our entities, to our obstacles, and we're going to create a new template. So this scene, oh right, because this has the health, and then itself, and then a physics material pack scene. Interesting. So I've been, let me explain what I'm thinking. So I have been kind of on the fence with, like definitely some things we are, I don't know if I have a quick example. That's not a good example, but there's some places here where I am looking, like instead of making, so like here, we have an obstacle GD script file and we have an obstacle scene file. And so these are doing two different things, right? So the obstacle GD script file is providing methods. You know, it's a class, but it's a class that really relies on this one actually is kind of interesting because it doesn't directly reference any of the child nodes. Like, we don't have like paths from the scene, but the idea, the way this is set up, is anticipating the idea that you're not going to actually directly use obstacle.gd, except you would extend it, but you would extend it on a scene, and the scene is inheriting from the parent scene, right? So packed scene here for base obstacle. That's interesting. How does this work? Oh, I see. So we have a shooting obstacle node that is an instance of packed scene, and then we attach our script for shooting obstacle on it and provide things. Anyway, so another way you could do this, where you don't need two things, is that you just have the GD script file, and then in Ready or somewhere, you actually instantiate those nodes and you build that part of the scene tree. Which means that you no longer need the scene file. You just have the .gd file, and then you can do things like, if you've given this a class name like entity shooting obstacle, if you don't need the scene file, then you can definitely if we go to some random place, I don't know, let's just go to the main. Nope. Main, but whoops. Control P, main.tscn. Right, if we go to a random place and we're just like add child node, then our nodes are in here. Things like this. What was I looking for? Specifically, what was the example I was trying to use? Shooting obstacle, entity shooting obstacle. So like if we search for that, yeah, there it is. It's under static body 3D because it inherits from static body 3D. So it's there, and you could just like instantiate a node based on the class that you've defined, and it would. I guess the downside of that is that Godot, unless you have a tool annotation, it wouldn't do anything. Like, it wouldn't evaluate the script in the context of the editor, so that you wouldn't see any kind of nodes that it builds. Yeah, anyway, so that's like, it's a downside. Okay. What I want to do though is I want to create a new folder here, and according to the plan, create a folder called ranged obstacle, right? And then we want to change some things around. I'm actually kind of tempted to maybe just move shooting obstacle to where ranged obstacle is, rename things. And then create a new shooting obstacle scene. I suspect, I don't really know, but I suspect that might break fewer things. So like if we take these files, oh hey Brainless, good morning.
Brainless Society just got here first and is awesome.
Correct. How you doing? Hello. So we've moved shooting obstacle, the scene, into the ranged obstacle folder. And so the consequence of that is like basic turret still inherits from the shooting obstacle, but it's now in a different folder. right? So we're just kind of like moving things around to refactor. So that should mean that if I rename this ranged obstacle, hopefully this won't break anything because Godot will handle references, right? And then we update the name of this to be ranged obstacle. We save all that and we go back to basic turret, and basic turret still references ranged obstacle, which we'll have to update, but we'll get into that. What is Brainless saying? Still pretty sleepy, getting out of a meeting with architecture and getting your caffeine up to move on to coding. Still pretty sleepy after meeting with architecture. What are you suggesting, Brainless? I'm kidding. How am I doing? I'm still working on my. Here we can have this on 2 cameras. My coffee. But doing good. It's kind of weird this morning, right? It's Tuesday. I feel like I think the streaming schedule is gonna help me remember what day of the week it is, because absent my usual day of Outlook driven activities. How will I know what I'm supposed to do without a calendar? Anyway, now yeah. I don't use it except for work, and so hopefully I won't be using it that much this month, but anyway, okay, so we have renamed shooting obstacle to ranged obstacle. Now we need to create a shooting obstacle scene. So if we go to this scene and we say new inherited scene, and we save this, and we'll save this in entities, obstacles, templates, shooting obstacle. This will be shooting obstacles.tscn, and we rename this. Right, so this is just saving me, like if I did this a different way, if I did this where I left shooting obstacle in place, I don't know, maybe this is probably about the same amount of work of creating ranged obstacle that inherits from base obstacle, and then update shooting obstacle to inherit from ranged. Can you change the scene you inherit from? Like, you can clear inheritance. I don't know that you can reparent. So maybe the alternative way of doing this is impossible. You forgot to defrost your lunch. Oh no, you better get on that. Although, it's probably, isn't it lunchtime for you already? Okay, so we have shooting obstacle. We need to attach a script. And we are going to inherit from a ranged obstacle. Actually, before we do that, let's go back to the files. We're going to ranged obstacle. We need to change the GD script to rename this ranged obstacle. And we'll have to remove stuff, move code around, right? But we're not there yet. So now let me do this again. So we're going to right click, attach script, create shooting obstacle that inherits from entity ranged obstacle, create. Shooting obstacle. Oh, what did I just do? Oh, I see. What I meant to do was Alt up arrow to move that line up. So now we have the new shooting obstacle GD script. And we need to think about how this all works. Before we do that, before we start changing anything, what we need to do is we need to go to basic turret, and now I need to figure out if I can do the thing that I said I don't know that I can do, which is like we could clear inheritance, but I don't want to do that. So basic turret inherits from ranged obstacle now, but basic turret needs to inherit from shooting obstacle for this to work. Fortunately, things are really simple right now. Like the structure of this is way more complicated than it needs to be to allow us to do the things we're about to do. Where we have like base obstacle, ranged obstacle, shooting obstacle. And technically, when we had just the two, that still made sense because we had fences and walls and stuff that were inherited from base obstacle. Yeah, so anyway, so is there a way to change the parent? Edit dependencies? No. I don't want to do that. I want to view owners. What does that do? Okay, nothing. Move duplicate to. Create new. Is there clear inheritance? No one do. Okay, this is a thing we Google. Change inherited scene. So we can just update the file. In practicality, what do you mean? People above are saying how to do it. Yeah, okay. So we'll try that. Let's stage what we have so far. And then what we need to do is we need to change basic turret. So we don't need to change the other ones because the other ones inherit from the from the base obstacle. It's only basic turret that's different. So what we want to do here is we want to inherit from shooting obstacle. Yeah, that. But with our script. So here's a question. So that UID probably needs to match this. So if I save that, and I go back here, and we reload, basic turret.tscn appears to be invalid. Whoops. Why? Why invalid? Seven stream streak. Look at you. Congrats. You have the longest streak here. I imagine I'll be getting quite a bit longer because I'll be streaming every day. Looking at your recap, you got 366 distinct days visited. Yeah. Interesting. In a year, 366 days after 365. So why is this invalid? What did I break? Basic turret. I don't want to double click that one. Double click this. It appears to be invalid. Correct. Failed to load scene. Looking down here in the console. I don't know. Let's just reload the project and see. Yeah, you're confused. Yeah, I don't know. So presumably now, if we try to open above basic turret, appears to be invalid. Corrupt. Okay, what did I do wrong here? Let's remove the UID. What's referring to 1_turret? Okay, I mean, that should be fine. Oh, it's fine now. Okay, so if I save that and I go back here, we have a different UID. Why? I don't know. Oh, I see. That's the UID that's at the top of the shooting obstacle that's at TSCN. Not the UID that's inside of... Oh, because this... Right. The other UID was from the GDScript file. But I needed the UID from the scene. Okay, that makes sense. Your most visited stream is the only one you dislike, but he does Elixir. Oh, my. You gifted 66 subs. That's an amount. Is that that's on the viewer? So much scrolling. Why is it so long? Viewer recap. Oh boy. So apologies. This is going to be kind of bright, but we'll pull this down really quick since we're talking about this. I have watched 5,591 hours of streams. Oh my. Okay, only 21 subs gifted. Only 21. 47 hype trains contributed to. Alright, we'll put that away for now. So bright. Oh, my eyes. Alright, so continuing on the refactor. So we create a new obstacle template called range obstacle. We need to move the attack range logic from shooting obstacle to range obstacle, rename to range. So the idea is that in ranged obstacle, we have this attack range, but this is going to just be range. Now I think this can be just a find and replace. Yeah, looks like it. This will just be range. Has the same name as a built-in function, so not range. Some other name. What does Brainless say? 7.34 thousand hours watch. You need a new hobby. So all of these suggestions are about the idea of attacking, but we want to have a generic term that is the, I guess, effect range. We'll go with that. But I don't want to actually do a replace like that because I also want to replace the things that have that word in it. Okay. So, that changed nothing. I think one of the things I'm thinking about now, so we have this idea, the shooting obstacles group, that we add ourselves to, and then we use this group to determine the things that we highlight somehow. How does that work? Oh, in the main script, we have some logic. Okay. So I think for now, so a thing that I could do in the future is I can make it so that if you're placing turrets, it highlights the range of turrets, and if you're placing like support towers, then it highlights the support towers. But for now, I'll make it one thing, and we're going to rename a couple of things here. One is this should be range obstacle. Entity range obstacle. Yeah, that there too. And then these. And then we're changing the name of this. Ranged obstacles group. Sure. And we'll just change the name. There shouldn't be anything else that's referring to this, because that's the point of having the constant. Good. Don't rename that. Make sure that didn't break anything. Okay, great. Oh, that one showed him in chat. Naughty, naughty. Bye-bye. Okay, and this should be ranged obstacles group. Great. Sure you can. It's right there. Okay, so at this point, I have changed nothing. Everything should work exactly like it did before. We've just moved stuff around. Let me reload the project just to make sure everything is fresh. And we will see what this didn't do. I mean, I think that's fine. Even if we're not placing a something that is going to add coverage, we can still see the coverage is probably good. Yeah, that's fine. And that's not a new behavior. I would have done that before. Okay, so move attack range logic from technically we have done that by moving everything into ranged obstacle. Modify shooting obstacle inherit from ranged obstacle. Shooting obstacle will retain all shooting logic. So what we need to do here is we need to move all of the turret shooting attack stuff from ranged obstacle to shooting obstacle, and then that'll be done. So, what do we need to move? Really, these three exports need to move. And this will tell us what else needs to move, because those things will be referenced. Current target, ready to attack, can attack current target, attack. I'm gonna move this up. Detection timer, effective range. So these things will move to shooting obstacle. I'm gonna copy this because we're gonna need logic in the ready of this component, of this entity. And I think we just take almost everything here. The shooting obstacle log should be, hold on, in this file, replace the word shooting with ranged. No, not yet. Let's not do that yet. First, let's take all the stuff that we need to move over here. Yeah, that way if we end up moving log lines to the new old file, then we won't be replacing things and have to rename things again. Okay, so this stuff stays here because it's the thing that's telling us whether we need to show the effect range or not. Sure. Hide range indicator, sure. On mouse enter and exit. Detect and attack enemies, find nearest enemy, on died. All of those things move to shooting obstacle. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, what's this complaining about now? Already exists in parent class. Well, it doesn't once I save this. Excuse me. Okay, so things aren't red anymore. That's a good sign. So here, let's see, and so this will preserve case. Good. Great. Ranged. Yeah, we extend ranged obstacle, and that's the only occurrence of the word ranged. So that's good. So what we've done is we've taken these 2 bits of logic, and we're doing something here that generally is maybe not recommended. We're using inheritance rather than composition. Could we compose components to do these things? Maybe. Do I want to change things right now to do that versus what we have going on right now? No. So again, just for safety, we'll reload the project. Zombie moves too fast. You can see it's taking damage. Yeah, anyway. Okay, that seems fine. Seems to work. Let's start by making some commits. Theoretically, we're supposed to be working on pausing, implement survivor panics. Right? What's the issue number for this thing? 147. That one. or 146. 146. I don't know why it said 147. Anyway, let's add range obstacle. Okay, so move shooting obstacle to ranged obstacle to prepare for refactor. And then what we want to do is refactor shooting obstacles to inherit from range obstacles and update range indicator logic. No, that's not true. There's no update to the logic. Okay, so back to our to-do list. We've modified the shooting obstacle to inherit from range obstacle, and the shooting obstacle retains all of the shooting logic. And the next thing to do is we're going to create a buff obstacle. It inherits from ranged obstacle and put it in the templates. So this will have the logic for applying buffs. So this, the steps of this is very similar to what we just did, where we went into obstacles, templates. We'll create a folder. Call it buff obstacle. We will go to ranged obstacle scene, and then right click. We're going to, is it not from here? Maybe it's from here. New inherited scene from ranged obstacle. So this unsaved scene, we're going to call this buff obstacle, and save it. Entities, obstacles, templates, buff obstacle. And then we want to attach a script. The script will inherit from obstacle. You know, I could just use the tree here, right? From ranged obstacle. Create. And we'll give this a class name. Buff obstacle. There we go. And somehow it's been an hour. And that means it's time for me to take a break. So I'm going to do that for a couple minutes, and I will return, and we will continue implementing towers that buff turrets. And